Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we unpack your sources, dig through them, and really pull out the key insights just for you.
And today, yeah, we're diving deep into um, success, specifically the foundational ideas and, the practical strategies for actually achieving it in different parts of your life. We're drawing a lot from Success Habits for Dummies.
Right. Our mission here is simple. Cut through all the noise out there and give you a real shortcut to being genuinely well-informed about what it takes to build success. We'll mix in some surprising facts, some actionable stuff, and look not just at what these habits are, but, why they actually work and how you can use them.
Exactly. And the book, the author kind of starts this assumption that you, listening right now, you want to reach a higher level of success. Could be income, wealth, family life, work, health, you name it. So this deep dive is really for anyone who's ready to, build those bridges.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Where does the book say we should start? What's like the very first step? It feels like something people might skip over.
Oh, absolutely. The first big step is defining what success actually means to you, personally. The book really hammers this home. It's about your own feeling of well-being, confidence, accomplishment, not just some fuzzy wish. And it's deeply connected to your why.
Your why. Tell us more about that. Why is that so foundational?
Well, your whys aren't like 100 different things. They're usually just a handful of core drivers, the things that really power your goals,
Yeah.
your dreams. And often they come from significant past experiences. Could be positive, could be negative. The author talks about his own experiences with poverty shaping his drive. These deep reasons, they're the fuel. They ignite that desire for, personal performance achievement. Without knowing your why, it's hard to stay the course.
That really makes sense. Okay, so once you have your why, the book talks about something interesting, creating the habit of success. Like success itself is a habit. How does that work?
Yeah, it's about momentum. Think about a salesperson who's just on a roll, closing every deal, or maybe someone losing weight. They see the scale move down, and suddenly they're way more motivated to stick with the diet and exercise, right? Winning, even small wins, it just seems to breed more winning. That feeling of momentum, it's a powerful thing.
And I guess that links directly to routine and consistency. Are there any surprising stats in the book about that?
Oh, definitely. There's a really strong link shown between waking up early and success. The book points out that 90% of executives get up before 6 a.m. on weekdays. And get this, 50% of self-made millionaires are up at least 3 hours before their workday officially starts.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's not really about being a morning person. It's about the consistency.
Yeah.
Doing something once isn't a habit. It takes weeks, sometimes longer, to really lock in a new routine. Repetition builds success.
That's a powerful point. But, okay, here's a common thought. Successful people must just always be perfectly on track, right? What does the book say about staying on track?
Right? That's a big misconception. The secret isn't that they never slip up. It's how fast they get back on track. Highly successful folks, if they get derailed, they're often back on course within like an hour or even less. Whereas, many people might stay off track for days, weeks.
Ah, okay, so it's about the quick recovery.
Exactly. Recognizing the slip and correcting course almost immediately.
Okay, let's shift a bit. Core principles for achievement. What does the author say is the universal key to unlocking success?
Discipline. Plain and simple. The book calls it the key that universally unlocks the doors to success, health, happiness, wealth, self-esteem, all of it. And discipline isn't some mystical thing. It's just consistent, purposeful action. It's the bridge, really, between your thoughts and actually getting things done. It's that voice saying, do it now, versus the procrastination voice whispering, oh, we can do it later. And you got to watch out for what the author calls the law of diminishing intent. Basically, the longer you wait to act on something you know you should do,
The less likely you are to ever do it.
precisely. That great idea you had last week, if you didn't jump on it then, the odds of you doing it today are much, much lower.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that one. And it's not just discipline alone, right? The book mentions the compound effect. How does that work outside of, say, investing money?
Right, it's huge. Basically, everything in life compounds.
Yeah.
Not just money. Think about small, positive habits, eating healthy, giving real attention to your kids. These things build up over time in a good way. Better health, stronger relationships.
Yeah.
But the flip side is true too. Unhealthy eating, neglecting relationships, those also compound, but, negatively, detrimentally.
So the little choices really add up.
Day by day, either for you or against you.
Okay, so what happens when things don't go to plan? We all face setbacks. How does the book frame perceived failures?
This is really interesting. The author argues that failure isn't really failure unless you actually stop trying, stop progressing. He admits it took him like 30 years to really get this. He learned that mistakes, errors, they're just a natural part of learning, growing, discovering things. They prepare you for something better. And there's a motivator in recognizing where you went wrong. He uses the example of salespeople blaming bad leads instead of their own skills. If you blame the leads, you don't feel the need to change or improve yourself.
That's a really powerful way to look at it. And it connects to something else many struggle with: patience. We want results now, yesterday even. How does patience link to success, according to the book?
Well, the book puts it this way. There aren't really unrealistic goals, just unrealistic timelines. Success isn't only about crossing the finish line. It's also about the progress towards your goals. You have to give things time to grow, right?
Yeah.
Like planting a seed, you don't get a tree overnight.
Right. Takes time. And to speed up that progress, what about learning, expanding knowledge?
Yeah, the author stresses that trial and error can be super costly. Waste time, money, energy. So when you look at your goals and realize you need more info, that naturally pushes you to ask better questions, seek out knowledge. Think Warren Buffett apparently spends over 80% of his day reading, 5 newspapers daily.
Wow.
There's that famous Jim Rohn quote, "Your formal education will help you make a living. Your personal education will help you make a fortune." It's about that continuous self-investment.
Okay, let's dig into the internal drivers. Motivation. How does motivation actually show up? What does it look like?
Well, it shows up in a few key ways. Increased productivity, for one. You just get more done, feel that sense of urgency. Heightened energy is another, like an adrenaline rush. Your subconscious might even keep working on problems while you sleep.
Really?
Yeah. Then there's charisma. Motivated people often have this energy that draws others in. And finally, it creates compounding efforts. Your successes start stacking up, leading to results that can seem almost unbelievable.
So is motivation just about wanting more stuff? What about the desire for gain?
The desire for gain, wealth, recognition, freedom, maybe wisdom, it's definitely a powerful motivator. Nothing inherently wrong with wanting wealth, for example. But the danger, the book warns, is when acquiring wealth becomes the main motivation instead of just a motivation.
Okay.
That's when you can fall into traps like crazy consumerism, always trying to keep up with the Joneses,
Yeah.
which ironically often stops you from building real financial security.
That's a key difference. What about fear? Can fear motivate?
It can, yeah. Fear-based motivation is definitely real. It can push a student to cram for an exam or someone to change health habits after, say, a heart attack scare. But its effect is often shorter-lived. Once the immediate threat seems to pass, the motivation tends to fade pretty quickly compared to desire-based motivation.
So how do we keep that desire-based motivation going, especially for big, long-term goals?
The author suggests using rewards. Small, meaningful rewards when you hit certain milestones or benchmarks. Key is, they should be small in terms of time and cost. You get the little boost, then get right back to it. This works really well with kids, too, helping them break down big tasks.
Makes sense.
But you also keep your eye on the big reward at the end, adding some drama or significance when you achieve something, really savoring it, that cements the win in your mind and builds real self-confidence over time.
This feels like it all circles back to mindset, doesn't it? What's the book's take on attitude?
Fundamentally, your attitude is a choice, a decision you make. Determining to be positive, as the book puts it, is something you can actively choose and cultivate as a habit, even when things are tough. Optimists tend to look for the opportunity within the difficulty, while pessimists get stuck on the challenges. It's about the lens you choose to look through.
And what about tools like affirmations? How can we make those actually work, not just feel like wishful thinking?
Yeah, effectiveness is key. The book says affirmations need to be aspirationally real and relevant and focus on the future tense, I will. So instead of saying, I am thin, if you're, 50 pounds overweight, which your logical mind might reject, a better one is, I will lose 30 pounds in the next 6 months.
Okay, focus on the will.
Right. It feels more achievable and less like you're trying to trick yourself.
That clarity helps. And another powerful mindset tool, gratitude. How does that fit in?
Oh, gratitude is huge. The book describes it as positioning your heart, your spirit, your mind to receive more. Like emptying your coffee cup so there's room for a refill. And expressing it personally, thanking parents, teachers, friends, mentors who've helped you that benefits both you and them, creates this positive upward spiral.
And how do clear goals connect to our self-esteem?
Well, when you clarify what you want and break it down into smaller, measurable steps, you create opportunities to succeed more often. The book calls this how clear goals increase your self-esteem. You can measure progress, reward small actions. Think about a kid making their bed. That small, completed task gives a little boost of accomplishment, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Those small wins build up your overall sense of capability and self-worth.
Okay, this leads nicely into relationships. Understanding ourselves, understanding others. The book uses the DISC model. Can you briefly explain what DISC is and why it's useful here?
Sure. DISC is basically a tool, a behavioral assessment that helps us understand how people tend to interact, communicate, make decisions. Different styles. Knowing these styles, both your own and others, is incredibly helpful for better communication, less conflict. Let's start with D for dominant.
Okay, the high dominant or high D, what are they like?
IDs are often your typical leaders. They can seem aggressive, bold, very competitive, decisive, focused on results. Challenges really energize them. But interestingly, even though they seem totally in command, especially in close relationships like marriage, the book says they actually need compliments and encouragement from their partner.
Really? Okay. How should you talk to a high D?
Keep it short, concise, stick to the facts. They can get bored or frustrated easily if you ramble.
Got it. What about the I in DIC, the high influencer?
Ah, the high I. They're often the life of the party. Very colorful, vocal, expressive. They can strike up a conversation with anyone. Super persuasive, very social. But like the author mentions with his own son, they might struggle sometimes with attention spans, maybe finishing tasks. They also tend to love the newest gadgets or products and want recognition for having them.
Okay. And the C, high compliant.
ICs are often quieter, more reserved. They're meticulous planners, very polite, courteous, really good at following rules and procedures. Under pressure, they don't usually freak out. They actually tend to become more thorough, double-checking facts and data. Their biggest fear is often making the wrong decision because they're so exacting.
Understanding these styles seems super valuable. But moving beyond just styles, the book talks about developing valuable friendships. What's a key principle there?
Well, it emphasizes that life is really meant to be shared. Strong friendships make the whole experience richer, more durable, like the threads in a tapestry. A core idea comes from Stephen Covey. First seek to understand, then to be understood. That, plus what the author calls the platinum rule, treating people how they want to be treated, accommodating their desires, that's fundamental.
Makes sense. And for making a good first impression, any quick tips?
Lead with a smile. Sounds simple, but it works. And use people's names. The book calls it the sweetest sound. The author tells a funny story about his mom using his full name, Dirk Zeller, which always meant he was in deep trouble.
Huh. Good point on names.
And another tip, avoid flowery metaphors, which is the book's euphemism for cursing, basically. It suggests a lack of respect in conversation.
And staying informed to be a better conversationalist.
Yeah, the advice is to be well-read, consuming news from different perspectives, like maybe checking both Fox News and MSNBC, CNN. View it like a recon mission, to be genuinely informed, not just echo one side.
Okay. And making people feel good.
Crucial. Be genuinely interested in them. Don't just try to impress them with yourself. Your own optimism can be infectious, too.
What about empathy in friendships?
Hugely important. Friends go through different seasons, right? Empathy is vital. We tend to spot faults easily, so the book suggests consciously asking questions to find specific, meaningful things to compliment beyond just surface stuff.
And giving and sharing.
Reciprocity is key. The author even says it's a blessing to have friends who challenge your generosity, like his friend Chuck did. Makes you a better person.
How about disagreements? How to handle those gracefully?
First off, electronic communication texts, emails, is terrible for resolving significant disagreements. Tone gets misinterpreted so easily. Better to talk face-to-face, or at least on the phone. And crucially, extend grace. Assume mistakes aren't made with malicious intent. Apply that old wisdom. Try to remove the log from your own eye before pointing out the speck in your friends.
Good advice. And being a cheerleader.
Always encourage your friends, but with one important caveat. Don't cheerlead decisions that you know could seriously harm their family relationships. There's a line.
Got it. And overarching all relationships is love, right? The book calls it the greatest gift. How is love a decision?
Yeah, it's the glue. The book emphasizes it's not just a fuzzy feeling, it's a conscious choice you make, especially when things are tough. It references that famous Bible passage, 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, kind, not self-serving, keeps no record of wrongs. The author gives the example of always opening his wife's car door, not because he has to, but as a deliberate daily public statement that he values her. It's an action, a decision.
That's a lovely illustration. How does this translate to what the book calls your most important friendship marriage.
Well, the core message is that a lasting marriage doesn't just happen by accident. It takes design, commitment. For communication, it's about listening beyond the words, hearing the underlying needs for affection, appreciation, respect, empathy.
Okay.
And recognizing different styles matter here too.
Yeah.
Like, is it comfortable silence or the destructive silent treatment? Huge difference.
And compromise, how important is that?
Absolutely essential. The goal is harmony, and the path is constructive compromise. The author actually suggests aiming to go more than halfway, like 60 or 70%, to really create that feeling of oneness.
Interesting, not just 50-50.
Right. And keeping emotions in check is vital too. The book uses an analogy of a small boat on rough water. If one partner starts rocking the boat emotionally, the other needs to try and steady it. Otherwise, it just creates this draining cycle.
Okay, and focusing on the positive.
Yes, intentionally recognizing the positives. Asking yourself, especially during tough times, what does my spouse want? What are their gifts? What am I grateful for about them?
And remembering the good times.
Definitely. Recalling what first attracted you, why you fell in love. The author shares a memory of seeing his wife truly upset for the first time and how it sparked his empathy. Remembering those foundations helps.
Briefly, what about family success beyond marriage?
It's largely learned, the book suggests. Through observing parents' actions, overcoming challenges together, the author shares his family's battle with MS and consistently showing loyalty and love.
Any small habits for parents?
Yes, little habits create big success. Things like actively looking for chances to encourage your kids, recognizing their efforts, not just outcomes, and establishing traditions like regular family mealtimes. The book mentions the Reagan family Sunday dinners from the show Blue Bloods as an example.
Values.
Start by defining your core family values. And self-discipline is highlighted as absolutely essential for kids. It helps them avoid traps and learn needed skills.
Okay, let's pivot to the practical side. Work, wealth, time. How do you increase your value at work?
It's a continuous process, right? Rendering service, improving your skills. The book says a truly great employee cares about customers, colleagues, vendors. They're reliable. And especially in smaller companies, they understand they often need to work harder because more is demanded, become indispensable.
And setting standards.
Setting clear and compelling standards is key. Accountability means defining those standards and then measuring them. Performance improves when it's measured and reported. It can even foster healthy competition, like among sales teams.
What about building client relationships?
In today's competitive world, quality service and deep relationships are often the difference makers. The book suggests asking key questions. What are your biggest challenges? What could be improved? What are you not getting from others that you need? This gives you insight to solve their real problems.
And that idea of under-promise and over-deliver?
Yes, or plussing clients. It's about exceeding expectations in small ways. The book uses the DoubleTree Hotel's example, that warm chocolate chip cookie at check-in. It's their little extra, their plus, that makes you feel valued.
Nice. Okay, let's talk money. Achieving financial success. What's the starting point?
It starts with defining what financial independence means to you. For the author, it meant freedom and choice, inspired by watching his father retire. It's not just about earning, it's about intentionally building a future with security and options.
And the book emphasizes daily actions, right?
That's
Four
right.
habits.
Yes, creating the difference daily. Your thinking and actions every day impact your financial future. The 4 habits are: 1, invest at least an hour a day learning, like Buffett reading his papers. Could be podcasts, classes, audiobooks.
Okay.
2, move your body each day. Physical health fuels the energy needed for success. 3, rest. High achievers often undervalue this. Downtime, recreation, enough sleep, most need around 8 hours, are crucial to avoid burnout.
And the 4th.
4, setting a specific gross asset number. Having a target. The book offers a formula. Your age times your annual household income divided by 10 equals a target net worth for that age. So, like 35 years old, 250K income divided by 10 is 875K net worth target. Just an example to get you thinking specifically.
That's concrete. What about the danger of looking wealthy but not actually being wealthy?
Yeah, the keeping up with the Joneses trap again. Being income wealthy but not really wealthy. Rewarding yourself is fine, good even. But delaying gratification too much isn't the answer either. The author admits he did that. He shares a cool, true wealth moment. Selling a house led to connecting with a church, which ultimately led to adopting his children. Sometimes wealth is more than just dollars.
That's profound. Okay, let's hit this core truth. A dollar saved is $2 earned. Explain that again.
Think about it. If you earn an extra dollar, say from a side job, you have costs, you have taxes, it gets reduced. But a dollar you save by cutting an expense. That's a full dollar that goes straight to your bottom line or savings. It bypasses taxes and overhead. Saving is often more powerful than earning more, financially speaking.
That makes sense. What about debt? How do we tackle that?
Crafting your debt-conquering strategy is crucial, especially high-interest consumer debt, where interest piles up fast if you carry a balance. The book mentions Dave Ramsey's debt snowball method. The main point is having an organized strategy, a plan, to systematically wipe out debt.
And that leads to maybe the most important financial habit, paying yourself first. Why is this so hard but so critical?
The author himself says he struggled with this, paying bills, everyone else, before saving anything. He stresses the habit is more important than the amount you save initially. Start with 1%, whatever you can manage, but start. Because if you don't develop the habit, the book says you're basically doomed to live paycheck to paycheck forever. Prioritize your future self.
How can we make that easier? Forced savings.
Exactly. Things like 401k plans where the money comes out automatically. You never see it. You don't miss it as much. For business owners, the book talks about the secret sauce of self-directed retirement accounts, SEP IRAs, KIFs.
Yeah.
These let you invest retirement money in more things. The author actually shifted his retirement funds into real estate after stock market losses, even using loans against appreciating property. He calls that a game changer for him.
Very interesting. Okay, final major area, time management. The book highlights a modern paradox.
Right. All our amazing communication tools boost productivity in some ways, but they also cause a greater loss of production because of constant interruptions.
Yeah.
And the author is blunt. Multitasking is just not time efficient. Every time you switch tasks, your brain loses momentum and focus.
So what are the strategies? How do we fight back?
Several things. One, schedule specific blocks of time offline, maybe an hour, hour and a half, where you turn off email, phone, social media. Focus completely. Two, delegate responsibility when possible. If someone calls when you're deep in work, maybe someone else can handle it.
Okay.
Three, set expectations. Let family, friends, clients know your general availability and response time so they aren't frustrated. Four, purge and organize regularly. Clear your desk, clear your head, maybe once a month. And five, maintain a healthy balance. Keep work and personal life somewhat proportional to avoid burnout.
What about decision making? We waste time agonizing over small stuff.
Yeah, making decisions. Just do it. Procrastinating on small decisions eats up way too much mental energy, and too many options can paralyze us. Successful people know they'll make wrong decisions sometimes, but they still act. A tip is to narrow choices down to just 2 options whenever possible. Makes it easier to pull the trigger.
And this all ties into productivity and our hourly value, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You need to decide, do I want to earn more money in the same amount of time, or in the same money but work less time? Focus your energy on the highest value activities. For sales, that might be lead generation in one. Maybe 80% of your results come from that. Consider outsourcing low-value chores if your time is worth more per hour than the cost of outsourcing.
And that powerful technique,
Uh.
time blocking. You mentioned an example earlier.
Yes. The top sales performer who boosted sales 125% just by sticking to her time blocking schedule 35% of the time. It shows that even imperfect consistency with time blocking pays off huge. A little goes a long way.
That's encouraging. So with all these habits, assessment is key.
Absolutely. Assessing your progress and adjusting your plan as needed. Whether it's time blocking or any other habit, it's not going to be perfect. Regular checks ensure you're getting the results you want. And remember, consistently doing more than expected, more than your hourly rate might imply like not wasting work time that increases your value, your skills, your confidence.
Okay, 2 final, quick but important concepts. Integrity.
Crucial. It's about your actions matching your words, your video matching your audio, as the book says. That creates your legacy. The author tells a story about insisting on paying for a drink a restaurant forgot to charge him for, just to model fairness and loyalty for his kids. Small actions matter.
And persuasion.
The book argues persuasion, or selling, is an essential life skill for everyone. Persuading kids on standards, a spouse about needs, employees about value. It's not about slick tactics. It's about clearly reasoning why an action is beneficial.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. We've covered a lot defining success, habits, discipline, relationships, money, time. What's the big takeaway here?
I think the deep dive really shows that success isn't some final destination you arrive at. It's more like a continuous process, right? Pursuing excellence, winning those small daily victories, making deliberate choices across your whole life. It really boils down to the consistency of those small, purposeful actions. They compound over time. That's the core message.
That makes sense. But here's a final thought to leave everyone with, something to maybe wrestle with. If the book ultimately says that when the game of life ends, all the external stuff, the hotels, money, and saved get-out-of-jail-free cards, they all go back in the box, then what truly lasts? How do you balance that diligent chase for external success, which we've talked so much about, with cultivating the internal stuff, the relationships, the meaning, the wealth that doesn't go back in the box? Something to think about.
That's a great question to ponder. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you'll reflect on what success really means to you and which habits you want to consciously cultivate.
Yes, thank you. Our goal, as always, is to help you get the most important insights from your sources. Join us next time for another deep dive.